2, 1. Roll intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Who Cares Anyway podcast. We are live, and it is Friday night. Who am I? I am merely your host for these proceedings, Chris Dohmen. And before I actually get going too much further into the show, I'm mostly just stalling for time because there was a little bit of an accident during the intro on my end. So while I talk, I'm going to fix that because, you know, shit always has to go down, always has to happen. But, you know, it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. You know, as I used to say all the time back in my back on the old channel I used to work for. Give me just 2 seconds here, folks. Of course, things always have to go wrong. All right, but I'm going to throw it over to my first co-host of the night. Got a smaller panel, as I probably should have mentioned up top, starting with, of course, Nico Suave Regoli, the Suave one himself. Nico, what's up, man? How has your day been?
It's been an interesting day. Went to the Pittsburgh Arts Festival. It's kind of in its second week right now, so a lot of the sort of hotter acts that were saved for the first week, they've kind of all left, and they've been shifted with something different. But, you know, it's always nice to see what people can bring to the table in terms of the art world. There were definitely a lot of prints that I was like, ooh, I kind of want to buy one, even though I don't really have a place to hang any of them up or frame them. And then there were a couple statues, three-dimensional art, that I was like, ooh, I kind of want those too, even though I still don't have any places to put them. And that's the thing about arts festivals, is that you're very tempted to have something like what they've made in your house, even if you don't have a place for it, and even if buying all those things will put you in debt. But yeah, so it's always, plus it was a nice day too, so it's always nice to go somewhere and for the weather to be nice. But outside of that, mostly the same as last week. Just been studying a lot of movies so that you and I, so that we can conquer the Arkham Knights by the end of summer at Mayhem at the Multiplex 2. It's just a matter of, you know, we know what challenges we're going to have to face to get through the tournament.
I mean, it's not like we're facing the number 1 seed in our first match or anything. No pressure, right? No, not at all.
No.
Thank God, mercy on my soul.
We got this, man. We got this. You have knowledge in spades already as it is. And with the work I've been putting in, I feel like nothing can stop us except ourselves.
That's true. That's absolutely true. You know, and to Mr. Scully and Mr. Boatman, look, you guys are fucking fantastic, but yeah, I'm aching. I'm aching for a fan league belt. I'm aching for a couple because, to my knowledge, I'm in 4 tournaments this summer, and I'd like to think I have a chance to win at least 2 of them. So. But we also have a special guest on the show. Well, we are very happy to have back to the show, longtime fan, one of our biggest supporters, and thank you, man. I can't say that enough about you, Jonathan Peck, dude. Welcome back to the show, and how have you been, man?
Hey, very good, guys. Very good, very much. And since my last appearance on the show, I've been a little casually doing well so far for the last couple months right here. My weeks so far has just been decent and a bit hectic. And the reason it's been a little hectic is sometimes just don't know, your brain kind of works sometimes right here. Just been a little hectic mindset. So it's just a little up and down.
By the way, Jonathan was in a Full Metal Classic match yesterday, and something happened in that match in which I've never heard an entire Google Hangouts call of people laugh harder than they did when Jonathan Peck asked one of his housemates, his family members in the house.
Yeah, I'll just say my sister.
You basically,
by the way.
yeah, you asked your sister to turn down the TV, and she was like, "No," and everyone just laughed at how hard you got denied.
Yeah, welcome to my household sometimes. Sometimes.
Oh no.
Well, I love her so much.
No, as I say, and we've had some very glorious accidental cameos over the course of this channel, And here's the thing: my mother making me try a bad stout beer on camera. That was pretty bad. But Nico, you still have the top spot for your mom's glorious little Swan Lake thing she did, which was like I said, man. Oh no, don't be embarrassed by it. That was wonderful. It was just simply delightful. But look, as much as you guys, I see a bunch of you in the chat. K Wolf, cool guy. Kees, I see you in the chat, and he will be on the show, but to be fair, he's moving tomorrow, so he wanted just he wanted the night off. It's like, yeah, you kind of have a big chapter of your life coming up, so why don't you just take the night off, enjoy yourself, and also, a little spoiler for our Schmodown reaction, which I have to edit. There were, unfortunately, some technical difficulties that it just happens sometimes. We're not trying to throw anyone under the bus or anything, but so I'm gonna be up late tonight, taking care of that and uploading this to the podcast feed. So that's why I'm on my second one of these today. Game Fuel, best Mountain Dew ever made. Fight me. Followed by Code Red.
Gatorade.
I drink Gatorade pretty much every other day of the week. I rarely drink pop anymore, but when I know I need to stay up late, I have to resort to pop. Otherwise, just nothing else will do it for me. But
I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis.
Well done, sir. Well done. That nice little TV jingle you mentioned there. Which, speaking of TV, yes, in the second half of the show, we will be talking about some of our favorite ensembles in TV, and I think we're all gonna have some very interesting ones to bring to the table. But before we get to that, of course, we gotta get into the news of the week. And before we hit the movie news, I just wanted to quickly give a shout out to the family of a guy I went to college with, Ty P. Unfortunately, he passed away. He was a local hip hop artist who was on the up and up. So Ty, you were a good friend in college. I really enjoy a lot of the times that we got to hang out. But I know that you're in a better place, and thank you for everything that you that you did to put a smile on not just my face, but the face of so many others of the people we went to college with. So, Ty, thank you very much. But that said, let's hop into the movie news, starting with a little trailer dropped this week, gentlemen. A little trailer for a movie that I am very hyped for. Nico, I know you're very hyped for. And Jonathan, I can presume you're hyped for as a fan of animation. And that, of course, we're starting with Frozen 2. Jesus Christ. This trailer looks great.
It looks fantastic, but do we know what it's about yet?
Exactly. Like, to me, that's the best part. Like, they're doing such a great job with the marketing of keeping us in the dark of what this movie is actually going to be about, and I want that right now. In fact, if they could do marketing that just gives nothing but cool moments and no plot, and then the rest of us just have to go on faith because the first one was so good, I'm down with that. But Jonathan, hit me with your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts on the trailer is actually very interesting. I'll just say that in the least, though, because one of my favorite parts of that trailer is when Elsa not only gets in the ocean right here, she discovers half a trick, and maybe I'd never seen before, that she creates a sort of like a prosthetic animal right here in the middle of the ocean right here, and interacts with it, and it kind of runs off right here, it sort of dissolves right here. That's a part of the trailer that actually I very intrigued about it, and very interesting how this is going to go and how it's going to play throughout the film, though.
that's kind of where I'm at myself, because I could not, like, if you were to ask me to guess where a lot of the shots for the shots of the movie, where they fit into the trailer, I couldn't fucking tell you. I could not tell you. Like, maybe a couple of them might be more towards the middle, a couple maybe towards the end, but that's the beautiful thing about this trailer. I have no idea when anything is supposed to be taking place. But Nico, what were your thoughts on Frozen 2?
For me, this trailer, we did a reaction to the first one a few months ago, and with the exception of maybe a few things, not much different from the first one. Like I remember her doing the thing with the wave in the first trailer, and she does it here. We might have seen maybe 1 or 2 extra seconds in this new trailer, but for the most part, kind of the same as what we saw before. But in this case, we got some dialogue that explained that I guess the world is in danger. People were afraid of her, and now she's the only thing standing between the world and its existence, I guess. So in a way, they're going the superhero route, but they're kind of not being so on the nose about it.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we're getting further confirmation that this movie is going to be about how she is making herself better, how she is now trying to harness the powers that she didn't want in the first movie. Now she's fully embracing them, and she's trying to figure out, what is my potential? How can I be the best Ilsa I can be with this mystical, wintry force in my body?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right, and I will say I don't know how to feel about that little kaiju moment right at the end of the trailer there, but I get the and like I accept it, because we had, you know, Marshmallow in the first movie, you know, the big frozen Godzilla kind of thing, but now we're having like a rock version of that. So how is she gonna fight that?
And is someone controlling that rock creature? Like, could this be? Could we be getting? Is she the only elemental in her area? Because you know, if I'm remembering this correctly, that no, they're not related to Rapunzel, but they are friends with her because royalty. But she's not the only. She's but my point being, she's not the only person
theory,
with.
you might disagree.
She's not the only person with powers in this universe that they reside in. So, like, there's a person with magical hair, and, you know, for all we know, Anna might have something inside of her that hasn't been unlocked yet. And now we've got this rock. Now we've got this rock monster roaming around. So who knows? Maybe there's an elemental that's controlling that rock monster. Maybe, and I think I said this when we did our reaction to the first trailer, she might find out that she's not alone in this world.
That's actually the exact thing I was kind of point that out right here, though. So I think it may be sort of the plot of the movie, though, is when Anna, Elsa, and the gang might go to that other place where you're referring to right here, though. They might be more, not say same powers as Elsa, but more, I'll just say, it's kind of like sort of like Avatar The Last Airbender did, like different type of forces right here. Not technically a frozen type of it right here, but I'll just say different elements right here, and that's when we might find the new characters come in, though.
Water, earth,
fire,
air. Yeah.
By the way, K Wolf just won the chat with his comment. It's Captain Planet.
Captain Planet, he's our hero.
Oh my god. Well, okay. Let's forget. The best version of Captain Planet is the one from Robot Chicken. Save the planet, or I'll fucking kill ya.
Oh, how dare you make this mirror to the performance of Don Cheadle and Fight or Die? How dare you?
And don't get me wrong, Don Cheadle as Captain Planet is a wonderful idea, but I am very partial to Ted Turner as Captain Planet in Robot Chicken, because it's so stupid that it has to work. But no, and
that was a funny one too.
Absolutely. So yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the fact that I still don't know anything about this trailer or about this movie. And this trailer just looks incredible. The score, I can already tell I'm going to love it just like I did the first one. As long as they don't have any song titles that I'm not going to fucking forget in the middle of a title match. God damn it, Frozen Heart. But anyway.
Or one last thing before we move on.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll have another Let It Go song in that movie, though? Just wondering.
We have to.
Please.
We have to.
Please.
Like, you've got...
You've got Idina Menzel, one of the best Broadway singers of the last 20 years. You'd better fucking give her another big soaring number that's going to just take over the world.
Yeah.
If anything, just to get the Let It Go haters to just shut up.
And you also have Kristen Bell in this movie as well. She's musically gifted in all varieties. So
and also the actor play Christoph Jonathan Groff, great Broadway talent right here though. By the way, so
absolutely
very talented.
Remind me, who voices Elsa when she's not singing?
No, it's still Idina Menzel. She does the entire voice.
Yeah.
Oh, because I thought I might have been reading something wrong, but I thought Evan Rachel Wood was tied to this movie somehow.
Actually,
I think
along
she's
with
one of the
Story
new
K. Brown.
characters.
Along with Story K. Brown, though.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because she and her husband have a band, so I wouldn't be surprised if she did a musical number as well.
Let me quickly fact check on that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And while you're fact checking, I'll get us started on something that I am actually surprised by, pleasantly. And that is the early reviews for Toy Story 4 have been pouring in from all different places, and overwhelmingly positive. So it seems, at least from the critics' perspective, we are not getting a Crystal Skull situation here, where we had a trilogy of films that are arguably the best animated film trilogy of all time. Although, sorry guys, How to Train Your Dragon, just slightly by that much. But, and we were like, well, Toy Story 3 ended so perfectly, how could they possibly continue the story? And, we watched the trailers, and, we talked about them. Kees hates it. I don't blame him, because I've been skeptical myself. But let's not bury the lead here. This thing is getting liked by people all across the board.
Not only that, it's good 100%. It's certified fresh officially. It's still 100.
Yeah.
Like, that huge. Which I'm a little shocked. It's sort of like, how the heck did they kind of pull this off right here? And I'm kind of with Kees on this one. I'm a very hesitant about Toy Story 4 in general, though. So.
But that said, does the certified fresh and all the reviews? Oops, sorry.
I'm worried it might sort of a Crystal Skull situation right here, that you'll leave everything alone right here.
Yeah. Sorry, you were cutting out there for a second, but now you're good.
Okay. Okay. Just check. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I was hesitant. That I heard the early buzz right here. Talked about many interviews right here. My rest has come to ease and relief in the same time, though. Which right now, a few days back, I've been started rewatching the Toy Story movies, preparing, which I'm excited for Toy Story 4. Which, if I'm correct though, it might be tracking over a 200 million opening weekend mark. Not even joking. So
I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if it also opened in like the 180, 190 region. But Nico, you're hearing about some of the the early praise, and refresh me. You actually were on board for a fourth one right away, right?
Yes, and a couple of the reasons why was because, first off, from being on this channel, I've learned that apparently Pixar doesn't have a great record when it comes to trailers. No. But when you see the movies after seeing those trailers, you automatically feel like you had a better experience than what the trailers were leading you on to believe you would have. So in a way, it's like a weird science that works. But also, we've been hearing a lot of complaints about Disney proper, going back to the well one too many times. And I think Pixar has learned over time, especially with, let's say, Monsters University and with the Cars sequels, that you shouldn't go back to a well unless unless the story is worth going back to. And we had tied up Andy's arc, but from what we heard on Collider Live this past week, apparently there was still some story left for Woody to be told. And Pixar, they put a lot of heart and soul into what they do. And I have a feeling that when we all see the movie for ourselves, we're going to be like, yep, this was worth being made. And this is, if it is the end, it's a nice little bow to tie up the story with. Although they are going to do a couple shorts focusing on Forky for Disney Plus.
Of course.
And maybe for Duke Kaboom, I guess.
Oh, please. Just I saw a little behind the scenes thing of Keanu Reeves just doing his lines, and oh my god, I died from laughter. That was just beautiful. Like, anybody who says that that 2019 is not the year of Keanu Reeves, go check yourself into a loony bin, because it is. It is his
really
year.
It is. Really. And he's killing it, and he deserves it.
Hell yeah. I mean, especially with, John Wick, this Cyberpunk 2077.
And Would You Be My Maybe? I saw it on Netflix a week ago.
Maybe, yeah.
I saw it on Netflix. He steals the entire movie, and he's not in the movie on that long, though. He's hilarious in that movie.
I saw a couple clips from that movie, and I probably will check it out this weekend because, side note, guys, I had the weekend off from work, so I'm just gonna fucking enjoy it. Finally. For the first time in like 2 months, I'm like, oh, I don't have to work. Ah! All right. But yeah, no.
You get Netflix to chill in the meantime.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my God. That's not even funny. So, yeah, and of course, I'm just excited for that. And the thing is, I'm still a little scared just because, like, some of the Disney stuff that's been happening lately, like Dumbo, it's really interesting when you look at it from a satirical point of view, but otherwise it's just a fine film. Aladdin, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Lion King looks great, but I'm still scared for it. And speaking of Disney, they also own the second highest grossing movie of all time, soon to be number one. Please dethrone that fucking overrated Avatar. And
good segue.
Speaking of Endgame, there was something that dropped this week on Chris Hemsworth's official. Oh, motherfucker! Nico, you can't message the chat in Skype. It'll pop up on the screen.
Oh, it will?
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
I thought we've done this before.
No, we haven't done this before, you motherfucker. Love you, Nico. It's all good. All right. But so to obviously, yes, to get to where I was going to, Chris Hemsworth on his official Twitter posted a little clip from him as Fat Thor playing Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt by Nine Inch Nails, and I gotta say, this better be on the fucking Blu-ray for Avengers Endgame, or I'm gonna riot.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, maybe that's why they didn't show the whole thing of him singing, because we couldn't find any videos of him singing the full song. But maybe that's because they're saving it for something on the Blu-ray or for digital.
Yeah. Jonathan, you share thoughts on that?
Same thing as you. I wish the Blu-ray. I think the Blu-ray is going to come out like August 13th on Blu-ray right here. So I think digital is going to release around late July right here. So just a little clarification on that. I watched this clip, and I want more of it. So it's just so. Fat Thor for me is like really the biggest surprise to come out Endgame right here. And one is out of nowhere right here, and story-wise, it works right here. And Hemsworth play it so well right here that I wouldn't mind they stick with Fat Thor for a while. So I wouldn't mind by that. So, sure.
Please, and I think it's a really fun way to sort of promote like a DVD, Blu-ray box set, whatever. because it just teases you like a little reminder of, oh, hey, do you remember this arc from the movie? Well, we're going to have a little fun with it. And, you know, I'm not going to kiss Hemsworth's ass too much here, but he actually does a good rendition. Of course, yes, I'm very partial to the Nine Inch Nails version myself, just 'cause I think it's a little bit more atmospheric over the Johnny Cash's hurt, but you can't argue with the Man in Black. So, yeah, please, Disney, put that on the Blu-ray. And I'm going to pick it up no matter what, because I just fucking love Endgame.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Much like how I'm loving this bit of news, because one of my favorite movies of the decade was 2017's Coco. I adore that movie. And it's good to, and growing up, there was a book series that I really liked to read, because, I was into a lot of fantasy stuff, like Lord of the Rings, Redwall, and the Chronicles of Narnia. Now, we had 3 movies. I've only seen 2 of them. I really like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I really like Prince Caspian. I never got around to Voyage of the Dawn Treader, just because. Sorry. But we do have a Netflix series coming. And by my understanding, the reason this is happening is because Disney has now lost, or, well, quote-unquote, lost the rights to Chronicles of Narnia. So now Netflix picked them up, and they picked up the writer of Coco to oversee this entire property, which will basically see all 7 books from the Silver Chair to the Last Battle. And I'm stoked. I want this series. Now, Nico, you haven't seen either Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe or any of those movies, right?
I've seen Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I've actually read the book. It was one of those books that was like mandatory reading for my elementary school.
Okay.
But I have not seen any of the sequels.
Ah.
So yeah, my knowledge only goes Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and that's it. But I do like it when things get a TV series, because they can then cover what couldn't be covered in the movie adaptations. And there's a lot in those books. Each of those books, there's a lot in them. And there's a lot that we didn't get to cover in the movies because, scrap for time. You're trying to get as many eyes on those movies as possible, so you have to cut them down to like 2 hours, so you can get more audiences to see them as the day goes on. This way, we're probably going to get 10 episodes at least per season. Please. And that is definitely enough time to cover bit by bit the discovery of the wardrobe, meeting Mr. Tumnus, Aslan, the White Queen, the big battles, and we can make the battles more dramatic that way by extending them over like 1 to 2 episodes at I'm curious. I'm not going to say I'm excited, but I am going to say I'm curious.
And for a hot second, I thought you were going to say the white bitch, and I'm like, oh no, don't bring up Epic Movie on my show, please don't. But thank you for not doing that.
I said the White Queen, so I didn't even get the actual name right.
Yeah, the White Witch, Jadis. But no, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's kind of my argument towards a certain adaptation of a certain Star Wars game that's going to happen eventually. But if you do it as a movie, you can't tell the full story, and my God, will fans revolt if you don't tell the full story? Like me.
Projection much?
Hey, I can have dreams too.
Rejected story ideas. They never got past the green light.
But no, Jonathan, and then tell me about your experience with Narnia, and would you be down for seeing this show?
Well, I never read the books on the Narnia series. My only experiences of Narnia are the 2 movies and the one SNL digital short, but the Chronicles of Narnia. So
okay.
That was my experience right here, which I like the first one. I like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I don't remember certain aspects of Caspian right here, even though Ben Barnes as Caspian is actually really good, though. So that's some of the portion of the film that I kind of remember for the most part.
Fair enough.
Kind of same thing with Nico. I think you could focus on a battle scene for 1 or 2 episodes right here. We've seen, like, I don't want to sort of bring it up again, even though it's true, Game of Thrones. Like, even you don't have a big budget, you could use that budget for those battle scenes right here to make them around the show right here, though. And I think Netflix is trying to do sort of like little duplicate, little similar as Game of Thrones right here. But I think for milling, for preteens, for adults, for kids, though. So I think they could have worked in their advantage right here. I'm curious and intrigued at the same time, though. Guys, hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. I was just who's going to respond next?
I was just saying, I took my earbud out because I didn't want to get spoiled. In case you accidentally dropped a spoiler.
Oh, about Game of Thrones?
Yeah. Not caught up yet. But no, if you were you done with your point, or did you want to say anything else?
I finished.
Okay. Cool. Like Makuga. Cool.
We are off our game today.
Well, like I said, that reaction kind of messed us up. So my apologies, guys. But and I'm sure the audio listeners are just having a hell of a time trying to focus on what the hell is going on. So to all of our iTunes listeners, thank you for the support. Sorry if there's any confusion going on. All right, but moving on.
Feel free to give us 5 stars on iTunes, please.
Please do. Just like how I want to give 5 stars to the Sesame Street movie right now, because Bo Burnham, a guy who I have a little bit of a mixed opinion on, because I think some of his songs goes just a little bit too far for my liking, but other songs he hits the nail so hard on the head that it's perfection. His song making fun of modern day country, it is brilliant. But now he's actually been attached to actually write songs for the upcoming Sesame Street movie that I'm very happy to hear this news. Also, side note, Anne Hathaway set to star in this thing. Yes. Yes. As one of like the few, apparently few defenders of her as an actress, because really, people, what do you not like about Anne Hathaway? She's great.
Yeah, I liked her.
Go watch Colossal. She's amazing in that movie.
And she's very funny.
She
People
is.
get her credit for.
Just because she's not the best Oscar hostess. Sorry, James Franco, and you. But
sorry, not sorry, but
is there really a good Oscar host? Like, what qualifies as a good Oscar host?
Billy Crystal, Steve Martin, Chris Rock.
Some instances, maybe Kimmel right here, and they're okay. The rest of it, for the most part.
Okay. Kimmel is just not fair. He's funny, but he's not fair, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough.
But, Jonathan, you hear about this, and refresh me. Did you catch 8th grade last year?
It's one of those 2018 films from last year that I didn't get to.
Fair enough.
I have seen Bo's videos and songs, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Him attached to Sesame Street, it's very interesting, though. It's kind of like, what Jason Segel and Jermaine Clement worked on the Muppets a couple years back right here. And I think Sesame Street and the Jason Henson Company trying to do the little similar thing right here, where they're working on Sesame Street right here for, let's say, a broader audience right here. And it also might work and very interesting at the same time, though.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because Bo Burnham's more known for obviously being a little bit more vulgar, a little bit more adult. But I see no reason why he couldn't just simply take out the cuss words and still write something very clever for something like a Sesame Street. Because, hell, watch any classic Muppets movie. Most of those songs, if they were written for an adult, they would just simply have F-bombs in them. And that's the only difference that you would hear.
And even watch the Muppet Show, though, but back in the day, similar thing. If you watch it back in the day, though.
Yeah, exactly. And
for those of you who complain about the recent Muppet shows, like, oh, it's too adult right here. Like,
go
back to watch the old show. Yeah.
Bite me. Hell, in fact, if anything, I'll actually make the argument that the newer shows have been a little bit more immature than the original. Like, honestly, watch anything of Statler and Waldorf from the original run. Oh my God, those guys are more brutal than Donald Trump at a Trump rally. But Less to say about that, the
Or
better.
his fans.
Or his fans. Yeah, touche.
Yeah. By the way, happy birthday, you piece of shit president.
Oh my god.
Let me say this too. Happy birthday, you fuckwad.
Yeah, happy birthday, you fucking orange Nazi. Nico, what are your thoughts on Bo Burnham writing songs?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I burned my lost viewers for this. I'm so sorry.
oh, good God. So I'm familiar with Bo Burnham's work, and he does good work indeed. My questions are, what is his role in this movie? What is Anne Hathaway's role in this movie? What is the plot?
He's not, as far as I'm aware, he's not really in the movie. He's just writing songs for it. But Anne Hathaway is set to star, and that's the other thing too. Like, I have no idea what the plot is, but as soon as we get a trailer, I got the feeling we're gonna get a lot of info right away. Hopefully. Actually, no, sorry. We do actually have we have a synopsis, and the synopsis is simply that the gang from Sesame Street winds up getting kicked out of Sesame Street. They basically all get evicted, and then they all have to basically fight to make sure that Sesame Street doesn't get demolished, basically. So it's kind of like the plot of Hey Arnold, the movie, if you ever saw that.
I did see that, but
I got it on VHS.
I'm also thinking,
Nice.
wasn't there a Muppet wasn't there one of the movies that the Muppets did where they were getting kicked out of the theater and they were like trying to? That was the plot of the first reboot of the Muppets movie with
With
Jason
Segel,
Segel.
yeah.
Yeah, they were getting the Muppet Theater was getting, I think, torn down, and they were trying to raise money to save it. So now they're trying to fight their eviction notice here in Sesame Street. So it's kind of a similar plot, but
Hey, if it works.
Bo Burnham, he's going to do good work. Anne Hathaway, she's going to do good work. I just wish I had a little bit more information to go off of.
And that's sort of where I'm at too, but I still have all the confidence in the world because, again, I have seen that Bo Burnham can do great work because, oh my god, 8th grade was phenomenal. Partially because, yeah, that it was kind of the middle chapter of the, Chris sees his life in movies trilogy, starting with Lady Bird, then 8th grade, then Booksmart, but... And apparently, I'm a woman in all of them. But you know what? Given how feminine I sometimes am with my emotional state and whatnot, I'll take it. Anyway,
I'm a little bit sometimes right here.
yeah. But move on to the next story here. This is something I am so happy for because, in fact, Jonathan, you were here last time we talked about Dune, if I recall correctly, and
Yes.
Just when my excitement can't get any higher for this fucking movie to come out, we are also getting a side television series that's essentially going to focus on superpowered nuns. Now, a little bit of context here. So, in the universe of Dune, in the Frank Herbert novels, there was this religious order called the, let me sure I get the pronunciation right here, Bene Gesserit. So, again, superpowered nuns who are telepathic and they can fight just like the rest of them. And Denis Villeneuve will be directing an actual TV series that focuses on these women. Basically to sort of just give a little bit of side story to the overall story of Dune that he will be directing for the feature film. And I gotta say, yes, please. Essentially, it would be like here, to make a comparison to Endgame. It would be like if we got a TV series about A-Force. That's the kind of comparison I'm making here.
Ooh.
So, Nico, does that potentially excite you even more for Dune and for this side series?
It did excite me, and it did throw off the nun joke I was going to make, and it wasn't that funny anyway, so I'm not going to make it. Yeah, as someone who...
God damn it, Kees.
As someone who is just learning about Dune and whatnot, because you've mentioned it on multiple podcasts before today, and you've hyped it up like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I had that same sort of thing when I was avoiding watching The Princess Bride for the longest time, and then I finally watched it, and it lived up to every ounce of hype that every single person I had ever talked to said it to be. And so, like, I'm hoping that when I see this movie and now the TV series that will coincide with it, I'm hoping it lives up to every ounce of hype that you've put it on a big pedestal, and I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like and if it lives up to all that hype.
Let's also be fair, before I throw this to Jonathan, you you haven't really seen that much of Denis Villeneuve's work, have you?
Actually, I have, actually.
I was talking to me. I was talking to Nico.
Oh, oops. Sorry.
And
Okay.
if I have, I wouldn't know he made it.
Fair enough. So, again, add that to the list of every Denis Villeneuve film. Sorry. But
that spreadsheet is just getting bigger and bigger than Santa's naughty list.
Yep. But, Jonathan, how excited are you for this?
I'm excited, but at the same time, a little hesitation at the same time, though.
Okay.
I felt, and not to say the show is not going to work, though. I feel like it will. But at the same time, I'm a little hesitant on because a few years back, I heard a similar announcement with Dark Tower has been in development. So.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason why I brought that up, because the Dark Tower movie did not do well critically and box office wise right here. And the TV show was originally going to connect in the movie. But when the film did not do that well, though, they kind of not only scrapped the TV series, they kind of scrapped any mentioned connection in the movie and just kind of start over from here and kind of discard all plans right here. So my little hesitation on it, I'm a bit worried that maybe right here might falter a little bit. Not to say it will never work, but a little hesitation at the same time, though. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. No, and yes, and to be fair, I have been hyping this up just because I love the books, I love the original miniseries, and I love the miniseries Children of Dune, and I will go up to bat for David Lynch's film, even if it is very, very, very clunky, staying in a Speedo and all, but because the story is so great, this mythology is so great. And again, to go back to that comparison, it would be like if the A-Force got their own TV show, and that's like because the idea it just has to work. That's where a lot of my excitement just will not go away. But with that, we had 2 more news stories, and then we'll hit the break. So going on to the next piece. Speaking of upcoming movies that are just stacked with a cast that's just fucking stacked, Clifford the Big Red Dog? Really?
This is happening?
This is happening. But even more surprising, just listen to this cast. Currently, David Alan Grier, Kenan Thompson, Rosie Perez, John Cleese, the main chick from Big Little Lies, and Jack Whitehall. What the shit? Like, where are all, like, this is the movie that's supposed to be such a stacked cast? Really?
I feel like we're giving a really big rub to PBS today. Because, like, we've mentioned 2 movies now that are being based off of things that have been on PBS before. Now, granted, Sesame Street is on HBO now, but at one point it was on PBS, and Clifford the Big Red Dog, it was a cartoon series on PBS. So, yeah, is it going to be mature? Is it going to be for kids? Like, how's this going to look?
I don't know, but that joke you just made was pretty immature in my opinion. All right, sorry. I mean, by my understanding, it probably will be more aimed towards just overall family. But I can see them with such a stacked cast. They might try to go for still a family friendly, but maybe try to go a little bit more adult with some of the themes. You know, again, you have this cast is very diverse, so maybe there could be an angle that they try to play up because, well, kids are still being taught horrible things by horrible people.
Yep.
So
I feel
who
like
knows?
some of the names you mentioned will probably be the voices of other dogs because if I remember the cartoon correctly, Clifford did have dog friends. I can't remember what their names were.
Yes, I can't remember their names either, but I just know that. Oh, hold on, I do remember one. Cleo, who was voiced by Cree Summer, one
So
of the best voice actresses of all time.
I would assume that's who Rosie Perez is going to end up playing, unless
Oh,
Supposedly, I don't know.
please
either
don't.
that or
Just bring Cree Summer back. I need her in my life. At
either
all
that
times.
or Emily Elizabeth, whoever. Those are the only two females I can
Well,
remember
and
from.
that's the girl
Red
from
Bell.
Big Little Lies who's doing Emily Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Who'd have thunk that like this could be a thing that might actually work? Much like, to wrap it all up, to wrap this whole section up, with another sequel that's coming in a few months. And I'm excited because the Dr. Sleep trailer was awesome. So, K-Wolf asked at the top of the show, he asked Nico a wonderful question. And that question was, so Nico, you're coming with him to see Dr. Sleep, right?
Maybe. Now,
You need a partner?
Need a couple?
keep watchers of the show and listeners of the show know that much like my fellow Pittsburgher Joshua Kuga, I'm a weenie when it comes to horror films. And now, granted, this might be more of a thriller than it is a horror, but it's also a sequel to The Shining, which I have not seen. So if I am going to see Doctor Sleep, I feel like I should see The Shining first. And whether or not I see The Shining at all is still up for debate. But I'm
I
not going
will
to
watch
rule
it with
this
you
out.
when we're in New York.
I'm not going to rule out the possibility of me seeing Doctor Sleep.
Okay. Now, I'm excited for this for multiple reasons. One, Ewan McGregor looks fantastic in this movie. I can already tell he's given the performance that just screams he's going to kill it in this movie. And I'm very excited about that. And what I'll also say is, yeah, big shock. The Shining is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't say this often, but in a year where, but there's there are a couple years in film where I would take out the Best Picture winner at the Oscars and I would put in two different movies, and that one of those is 1980. I would take out Ordinary People, which won Best Picture, and don't get me wrong, it's a great movie, but I would take that out. I would take out Tess, keep Elephant Man, Raging Bull, and I would put in Empire Strikes Back and The Shining, because The Shining, in my opinion, is one of the best horror films ever fucking made. Kubrick put on a masterclass of directing, and Jack Nicholson gives the best performance of his entire career in that film. And the fact that Ewan McGregor brings that same level of intensity that I miss from Jack Nicholson has me all the more excited. Jonathan?
Now he's playing the kid on the tricycle, right?
Yeah, he's playing playing Danny Torrance.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Jonathan, you excited?
Yeah, I can't wait. And the funny thing about it, I'm not deep into horror films right here. Not because I don't like them, and just like I never have a sort of a desire for watching horror films right here, though, unless they're interesting or more intriguing, though. This one might be one of them right here, and I'm intrigued of it so far, though. And I had The Shining on my DVD shelf, you see in the back right here, though, and same thing as you. Is legit a great movie, and I will argue on Kubrick's best right here, in my opinion. And also, the one little interesting thing, and sort of, Doctor Sleep is not only the sequel to The Shining, but sort of a sequel to the book Shining of it. And the interesting thing I saw in this trailer, though, which maybe Dolan, you might answer this right here, though, that Stephen King famously hated the Kubrick version right here, though.
He did.
I meant famously. And do you think in the trailer there's some little Easter eggs to not only The Shining, but to Kubrick's Shining right here, though?
And
Do you think do you think it's maybe just my man against choice right here, do homages to Kubrick, or maybe just the marketing right here, or maybe just a little loosely connected to the Kubrick one and the book one right here? Do you think Stephen King might be sort of okay with it?
Oh, I think he's absolutely okay with it. I mean, he gave he gave his blessing to make the film regardless. I'm just of the opinion that what he's gonna try to do is, or that what Mike Flanagan. Yep, there we go. What Mike Flanagan's basically gonna do is he's gonna sort of marry the two. He's gonna marry the book with the film because people do love the book and they also really love the film. And I myself, I'm one of those people. I love the book and I love the film. But the miniseries, which King himself famously did the teleplay for, it's not good. Like, sure, they did the character of Jack justice, but I much prefer Nicholson's take because what Kubrick did was he took the bare bones idea of the book and made it something completely new. Because it's like that it's like a phrase I've coined around lately. The devil was in the details, and and I think what Flanagan wants to do is he just wants to please everybody, and this is one of those rare times where I think he's actually going to be able to pull it off. But that's just a little bit of speculation there. Now we do actually have a couple minutes before. Now, Nico, you did mention something you wanted to talk about real quick before we hit the break?
Yeah, it was a news story that we missed, and it might just be a rumor, but we have some updates on the Tarantino Star Trek.
Ah, okay.
Yes, so reportedly, and I'm hearing this sort of like from the third person, or rather third-hand information. Like Mark Riley read this from, I can't remember what the publication was, but if the information is correct, Tarantino's Star Trek is going to be sweary, and it's going to be R-rated, which I know is something you were afraid of. And I was trying to think, what would compel him to do this if he is a Star Trek fan at heart? And he claims to be one. But then again, we also know that he likes to do things his own way. So I'm trying to think, what would justify him doing his take in this way on a Star Trek movie? And I'm thinking, maybe he wants to showcase what we've become in today's society, like how Star Trek is all about diplomacy and being our best selves, and right now we're kind of in an era in which we are kind of at our worst. So like maybe he wants to showcase how at this point in time in the Star Trek universe, politics no longer works. Everyone is just saying, fuck diplomacy, I'm going to do things my way. And maybe that's the big threat that they have to take down is a corrupt government that has just thrown law and order and diplomacy out the window.
Jonathan, please give your thoughts first if you could.
Oh no, you're going to rant, aren't you?
Oh,
good God.
I'm afraid now. Okay. Okay. To be fair, though, there've been some Star Trek content. They have some swear words right here, though. Even I saw some clips on Star Trek Discovery right here. I never saw the full episode, though, but they had some little content cussing around here, though. So that part of this, nothing new right here, but it's interesting at the same time, though. Just a little intrigue. I'll just say that right now. But he didn't say he's going to direct it right here, though. Just write a Star Trek movie right here, though. Just very intrigued. So, just going to leave it at that. And if Chris is going to rant, I'm going to put my headphones up for a second.
Oh, no. What have I done?
Oh, what have you done indeed? Yes, I see you, K-Wolf. I see you, cool guy. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, grab your drinks. It's rant time, motherfuckers! Okay. Let's start this off the right way. People hated the fact that there's F-bombs in Star Trek Discovery. They hated that shit.
I was contacting him at work, and we just...
And on top of that, if honestly, if you're gonna go so cynical with the Star Trek universe as to simply say that, oh, well, people just don't believe in diplomacy anymore. Now it's their way or the highway, and it's gonna be that way. That's the shit that I'm not a fan of in the Abrams films. I'm sorry. But the thing about Star Trek is we're supposed to be fucking better than that. And if we're not fucking better than that, then what the fuck are we trying to criticize in them now? That's why you have them try to be a perfect society. So that way we can fight the shit that we're doing right now. Fuck! So, I'm just going to simply close it out with this. I'm not opposed to trying to, go a little more adult with some of the details and with some of the storylines that you want to tackle. I'm not trying to say that you can't go more intense with how the situation's going to go. If you want to go R-rated, maybe have some, like, if there's going to be a conflict where there's blood, then by all means, do that. Show. But don't do it just because, yeah, I know. And Quentin Tarantino is my favorite director of this current generation. So I'm saying this as a fan of both Star Trek and Tarantino. When you just throw in fucks for the sake of saying fuck, you are fucking wrong. Simple as that, motherfuckers. And, lest we forget, anytime that there was violence in the original series films, in Next Generation, not so much in the Next Generation films because they turned into an action blockbuster franchise, and it didn't fucking work because they missed the point of what Star Trek was all about. Because it's about us growing past our bullshit in the now. Something that I want us to do. Something I know we can do. Something that we've come close to doing, but fucking terrible people keep having to bring out the worst in humanity. Trump, what? Anyway. I don't want this. If this really is the route that Tarantino's going to go, I don't fucking want this. I'll see it anyway because I'm a Trek fan, and I'll be curious because I'm also a diehard Tarantino fan. But if this is really the route he's going to go, fuck you, sir. Fuck you, because you don't understand Star Trek. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for enduring my rant. But we are going to take a quick 5-minute break to talk about some of our favorite ensembles in TV. Thank you for letting me let that out. And we will see you on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. Now, thank God, there's no Wolverine cameo in this movie because literally, no, like they
Wow.
No.
This is the first X-Men movie without Wolverine. Wow.
Yes. So good on you for making that decision and committing to it. But I could have used one. I could have really fucking used one.
Look, the scene that he has in Apocalypse is pretty badass.
It is.
You could have used
awesome.
that.
You could have done that. But no, instead, you had to go this fucking opposite direction and just be like, ah!
This is where Chris gets...
So, and yes, as someone who has read the Dark Phoenix saga, the comics, sure, this is the most faithful adaptation outside the TV show. So, good job. Good job. But except for the part where you forgot to add add shit that's supposed to make sense, so that way you can actually tell a story that's cohesive, and nothing, fucking nothing in this movie is cohesive.
Every band is influenced by people that came before them.
Yeah.
But the thing with Queen is they have such a wide, array or such a wide audience that I think over the years they've had a huge influence. Like, I know Guns N' Roses, Megadeth, and I know who else I'm trying. Oh, Marilyn Manson was one that I remember being kind of surprised when he was like, Queen being a huge, and then Michael Jackson as well.
Yeah.
So they, and Lady Gaga too. That was another that I remember reading about where like Queen.
Lady Gaga literally named herself after a song of Queen.
Right, exactly. So you have, these because a lot of those are acts that are known for their, antics, especially Lady Gaga, Michael Jackson. It was all about, and Marilyn Manson. It's all about.
Okay. Okay.
Eek, eek.
Some dissension in the ranks here.
What the hell?
Wait a minute. No, don't break up my team. Don't break up my team. Don't do it. Oh, God. Oh, God. Ah, no. Don't break up my team.
I think we just broke Chris.
I think that end credit scene just broke Chris.
It did.
Oh God.
That did more to wake me up today than any amount of coffee ever will. I am back, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today?
By the way, what Meyer could have said in that little bit is, well, at least I have a win and you don't in singles.
But Brendan's not that kind of kid. Brendan's not that kind of guy.
No. He's nice.
But he
Little
could
too
if he
nice.
really wanted to.
The thing is, he could have said that because, the truth of the matter is, Brendan is getting a lot better at this game, and he might be better, but I don't know. But yeah, that. Yeah. What do you think, Chris, about that end credit scene?
Okay, first the schmoes break up. I'm depressed. Then top 10 breaks up, and I'm depressed. If critically acclaimed breaks up, I'm going to be so depressed, it's not even going to be funny. Like, I'll be on, like, a binger of just watching Logan for, like, 2 days straight.
Oh, God.
Cruiser Ninko?
Ninka.
July 20th, San Diego Comic-Con, you're going to see the Inner Geekdom champion Rachel the Crusher Cushing. She will put that title on the line, and it will be against, that's right, the Smasher, Kevin Smets or Mike Kalinowski, who will win.
We're 2 matches away from a championship belt. I'll make sure Kalinowski lives up to his name KO when I knock him out.
You got this new breed that's come on up here, and they're bringing their A game. But they're just beginning, and Kalinowski's going to be the one taking on Rachel in San Diego.
You're a bump in the road in my title.
Comic-Con, that's the next defense is going to be. That's where I'm going to be on the other side of that table, getting that belt back.
If he wants to lose for a 4th time to me, bring it.
July 20th, Saturday. You can get tickets right now at theshowdownlive.com.
I haven't watched past season 1. And we are back on the second half of the Who Cares Anyway podcast. So, I'm glad to see you guys in the chat. Really loved my really loved my rant. And to the audio listeners, I hope you loved that as well. My face is turning a little bit red. I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that because, you know what? I need to get that off my chest. So thank you. But now we're back on the second half, and Jonathan Peck, you actually came to me earlier this week because Big Little Lies, speaking of, from the Clifford story, is now back for its 2nd season, and a certain Oscar-winning actress named Meryl Streep is on it. And that led you to ask me about, hey, could I come on the show and talk about ensembles in TV? And of course, I was like, hey, you know what? As much TV as I am kind of ignorant in still, just because I haven't gotten around to it, I can still talk my shit. So, yeah, let's hash this out. And because this was your idea, I'd like you to start us off. What's a show that you would like to talk about?
All right. Got my list right here. And also...
Watch out, ladies and gents. He's got a list.
Right here. And since I kind of addressed this topic, I kind of send you my pick right here, which my first one right here is sort of a cheat. You may argue, but you told me kind of condense it down right here, which I did.
I get told to condense things all the time around here.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
And
Love you, Nico.
I think I picked a certain show that currently airs right now, but you told me that I gotta pick which era, which I did, and I picked Saturday Night Live, but I picked the 90s Saturday Night Live. That's it.
Yeah.
The 90s Saturday Night Live, which, hold on, let me just add some. I got something. I was trying to show you something, but I can't do that. Okay. The 90s era Saturday Night Live. Granted, I was born in the 90s, but I didn't watch the era of 90s. I used to watch sort of reruns on VH1 right here of 90s era Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah.
And watching old clips right here, which, by God, some of the jokes still hold up. Let me tell you the cast members in my list right now and tell you where they are. Dana Carvey, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, Chris Rock, Mike Myers, Tim Meadows, Kevin Neal, Adam Sandler, David Spade, Julia Sweeney, Norbert Dahl, Will Ferrell, Daryl Hammond, Cheryl Tucker, Molly Shea, Otto Gasser, Chris Kattan, and Tracy Morgan. Need a little bit more right here, but for right here, the 90s era, I will argue, is the best run throughout the show era in comedy run history. I will argue even the Not Wait for Primetime Paris era is a big one right here. And I will argue the 90s era got more influence, more sketch memorable from that era. You know, I can name some of the favorite sketches right now. People know about Matt Foley, motivational speaker right here, which is they tell you if you don't watch some of the sketch, you're going to be Courtney chased in the van down by the river. Or you remember about...
That's pretty good Farley, actually.
Thank you! And another sketch you might know, these two gentlemen right here.
Yeah.
Wayne's World!
World!
Party time! Excellent! And imitations. And let me tell you some my favorite sketch right here. And let me tell you some of it. And I don't know, maybe you two remember this. There's a sketch with Bill Clinton, played by the late great Phil Hartman, goes to a McDonald's in a steady camera shot right here. By the first line he said, it's like, don't want to tell Mrs. Clinton right here. And he said, like, there are a lot of things to not tell Mrs. Clinton right here, though. And this is a couple of years before that happened in the late 90s, though. So that's how they got to. And right here, Keith only asked to announce the president's there, everybody's here, and President Clinton keeps eating their McDonald's burgers right here, getting a little Happy Meals right here. You keep talking about warmongers in general right here. That's the part I like. The other sketch I like from that era is a sketch called Peppa Boy.
Oh my
If you
God.
never,
Yes.
Peppa Boy is hilarious. If you don't know, is Dana Carvey and Adam Sandler right here play Pepperman right here, and they teach Adam Sandler right here how to do pepper. It's like Pepper. It's like yeah, right here. And one of them doing weird positions right here by doing the pepper like this right here. It's like meh right here though, which is great right here though. And one last oops, sorry. And also the era also so best present imitations ever. Like I mentioned early on, Phil Hartman is Bill Clinton, fantastic here. Dana Carvey is George Herbert Walker Bush, fantastic. Even Will Ferrell as George W. Bush right here, hilarious right here. And that's the reason is the best run in the comedy. And I remember some comics were never better after they left SNL on the moment around that time. So that was my selection, 90s SNL era. And one more thing to you, my last one, SNL sketch, is the Celebrity Jeopardy.
Oh my
which
God,
the funny...
yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Ted Ferguson.
I will take anal bum cover for 400. That's an album cover.
The album cover of that, Alex. And,
Famous titties
Alex,
for 400.
and I got a message for you, Chris, right here, if you want to answer it.
Yes. Yes. Shock it, Trebek.
Shock it, Dohmen. See? Joke still holds up. And even if I didn't grow up watching the era of Saturday Night Live, I can watch it right here and still funny right here, though. And that's the reason we still love these comics to this day based on that era of Saturday Night Live. So Okay, I'll let you the rest of the guys' thoughts on it, and that's it.
Now, and to go off of that, as far as top quality primetime programming, I'll disagree with you partially. Just because I think there's one show that I think was just a little bit funnier because it was allowed to be a little bit raunchier, and that's Whose Line.
You are now watching Matt TV. Oh, well, never mind. I thought you were going with Matt TV.
Fuck you. Whose line is it anyway? That was even. Are you kidding me? Like, I had the pleasure of meeting Jeff from Whose Line Is It Anyway, and yeah, he was on both Mad TV and Whose Line, and he straight up said Whose Line was the gayest show on television, and you know what? He is absolutely right. Because Mad TV still had some places where they couldn't, like, where they crossed the line intentionally, but Whose Line, they crossed the line, but subtly. And that's what made them brilliant. But 90s era SNL is still some of the funniest shit you will ever see or hear in your lifetime. The Chippendales scene, oh my God. Patrick Swayze versus Chris Farley as Chippendales.
Two legends, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Holy shit. Yes. Oh my God.
I've got one more. I to you, opera man. Hello.
Yes. I don't know why I picked up my new guitar that I got this week, but fuck it. Nico, thoughts on 90s SNL real quick?
When you say 90s SNL, I go back to Will Ferrell because, he's had a rough decade this decade in terms of his movie career, but but in the aughts and in the 90s when he was on SNL, he was killing it. And Celebrity Jeopardy was one of the sketches that went to my brain. The other one was, and I can't remember if this is 90s or 2000s because Jimmy Fallon is involved in it, but there was a sketch where he was in a hot tub on like a romantic retreat, and he and his wife are talking to Jimmy Fallon and his character's wife, and they're making so many innuendos, and they just can't control their laughter.
Yeah, I've seen that clip. It's very hilarious. They couldn't legit break. About it. Will's the only ones trying to keep it right here, but the rest of it couldn't hold it much longer.
I love it when SNL characters lose their composure and they just have to laugh. Again, I might be mixing up my decades between 90s and 2000s, but there was also the We Need More Cowbell.
Oh my God.
90s. The 90s, yes, you got it right.
That's 90s.
And it's like, I own a shirt somewhere in this house that has More Cowbell on it with Will Ferrell and the gut hanging out and the cowbell. I don't even know if that shirt still fits me, but it's one of my favorite shirts that I've ever worn in my entire life because that sketch is just so brilliantly done. And this one, I'm struggling to remember who he was portraying, but
I think the lead singer of that band, I guess.
No, Robert Goulet. Will Ferrell did Goulet releasing an album, and the words of the songs that he was singing were just so raunchy and ridiculous. But it worked. It worked.
Absolutely. And yeah, and that's actually gonna. Well, here, you know what? To give us one real quick final thought, like, and the thing is, 90s SNL balanced political with everyday life perfectly. Nowadays, unfortunately, like, SNL does lean a little too heavily politically, and I think a little too unfairly towards just making fun of the right, not making fun of the left. Which, I'm sorry, but if you're going to make those kind of jokes, you need to go the South Park route and just make fun of everybody, in my opinion. But 90s SNL hit that perfect chord, and that's what made them so great, in my opinion. Nico, talk about your first show.
My first show, and my only show, because I wasn't told I needed more than one show to think about, and granted, I thought Kees and Ryan were also going to be on this conversation, so that would have taken up some time. But, this is a very Star Wars-friendly channel, So
What?
I felt it was
No.
the smart move and the right move to go with Star Wars Rebels. Now, upon seeing the first teasers and trailers for the show, I thought, okay, the show is mostly going to be focused on Ezra and his journey to becoming a Jedi, sort of like how it went with Luke and with Anakin and with Ahsoka for Clone Wars. But then you realize over time as you watch the show, no, this is a family show. Like and by that I mean it's a show about a family. Kanan, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., he's the dad. You've got Hera Syndulla, played by Vanessa Williams, is it?
Vanessa Marshall.
Vanessa Marshall.
Case is angry typing right now.
You got Vanessa Marshall playing Hera Syndulla. She's the mom, and she keeps the entire group of the Ghost Crew together, making sure they don't do anything stupid. And she's the glue that holds them all together, and she's the glue that holds the rebellion together in a way. Then you have Sabine Wren, played by Tia Sakar. She's the big sister. She's going through a rebellious phase, as shown by the colors in her hair and how she mixes bombs with graffiti. And as the show goes on, you see her grow into this strong, independent woman, the strong, independent Mandalorian who realizes, hey, I can do this. I can carry the Darksaber, and I can lead the Mandalorians to victory in this war to claim our culture back. But I realize there's someone more suited to do so, and I have responsibilities elsewhere. So I'm going to give the baton to Bo-Katan. Then, of course, you have Ezra.
In just a moment.
Then, of course, you have Ezra, who is, he was essentially Aladdin. He was a street rat, and he was just finding his place in the galaxy, trying to survive as best he can without a care in the world except for himself. And then the first episode, he's like, he's fighting the urge to do good. And Hera is just like, he's the little voice in her. She's the little voice in his ear. She's like his Jiminy Cricket. And he's just like, damn it, you win. Okay, I'm going to do the right thing. And from then on, we watch him grow over the course of 4 seasons into this strong Force user. And he was tempted a lot. Especially by Darth Maul, to do the wrong thing. And the more information he gets, the more he grows, the more he realizes, no, I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to do what's right for the galaxy and for my family. Even if it means I don't get to be with my parents anymore, even if it means I have to sacrifice myself and get carried away with Thrawn and a space whale. And Zeb, Zeb is and Chopper as well. They're both war veterans, and they're both scarred in their own ways. Like Chopper is this grouchy droid who's just, he's like he's the grandpa of the group in a way. Which no one would ever think you'd say that about a droid, but it kind of fits him perfectly. Like, he's grouchy, he gives people shit all the time, but there's a good soul inside of that tin can, and he just wants to do right by the galaxy and by his family. And Zeb, he watched supposedly his entire race get blown to smithereens, and that has stuck with him, and it's like it's left an anger inside of him that he needs to get out. But when he meets up with Agent Callus, the man who led the invasion upon his people, and they get stranded on a planet together, and they come to the realization that, hey, we were both kind of pawns in this game that we don't really have control over. You did things because you were told to do them. I did things because I was trying to protect my people. But really, we're not that different. And Zeb kind of sways Callus to join the rebellion, and people were kind of shipping them as the show went on, which I thought was kind of nice. Like, even Steve Bloom, who voiced Zeb, he was like, "Oh, they're probably off on that planet together where the surviving what's the name of his species? I'm blanking on it right now. The Lyrasan and the Lasats.
The Lasats, yeah.
Yeah, Steve Bloom made a joke that they're with the other Lasats, and they're building a cottage together, and where they will spend out their days. But yeah, it not only built upon the Star Wars lore that was already in existence, because Dave Filoni is just that brilliant of a writer and a director, and he understands the lore. He is George Lucas's chosen one in a way. He is the keeper of the canon, and you see him build on it in brilliant ways. And this family. Again, people, when this show first started, they were like, where's Anakin? Where's Obi-Wan? Where are the characters we know? And by the end of season 4, when the show finally wrapped up, you're like, I don't want to see these characters go. I've fallen in love with them and the story that you've told with them. And granted, there is still more story to tell, as we saw with that series finale. Like Jason Syndulla, the young son. What is his role in this Resistance era that we're all a part of now? Like, we know Sabine has gone off.
Did they fuck to give birth to him?
That's also a question I've been asking for a long time. But we have Sabine with Ahsoka, who's now a character out of time. Like, she's literally out of time. And they're off trying to find Ezra. By the way, if you look on the cover photo for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you will see a hint of the doorway to the world between worlds.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're going to get some Rebels connecting with that new video game. But yeah, this show was just brilliantly told, brilliantly written, brilliantly casted, in the way Dave Filoni would torture the actors behind the scenes to get the full emotional range out of them. It just made the show that much better.
To go off that real quick, I'll simply say that, of course, I love Rebels. I really do. I love where a lot of the arcs go. I'm not picking up my phone right now. Nice try. And I actually really like the animation style. I like where a lot of the stories go. But I do have, obviously, like, just some criticisms of just how long it takes some of the arcs to get going, and how I do feel that there is more filler in the show than there should be. But where it makes up for some of that filler is in some of the character piece episodes that really dive into some of the after effects of The Purge and Order 66 and the Clone Wars in general. Like, one of my favorite episodes is the introduction of Rex in Season 2. Because seeing Kanan just live through his trauma of watching Depa Billaba get gunned down by clones, and now he is standing in front of 3 clones, and he wants nothing more than to fucking end their lives right there. But he chooses to work with him. He chooses to trust them, as he should. And then we get Rex's big post-traumatic stress disorder episode because, and yeah, I'm gonna just crap on Kees this one time. It's a great episode, Kees. Shut up. I don't care if there's battle droids in this episode. But the last battle is a great episode because of how deeply it dives into how much the war really screwed up Rex. Like, it really messed him up. Because he lost so many brothers in the war, like Fives, like Echo, pretty much most of the 501st. But that said, it did also give us AP5 singing, and that's one of my most hated things in Star Wars.
Oh, get over it. That was fun.
No, it wasn't. It was terribly executed. Shame on you, sir. But I will give you this. Top 20 moments in all of Star Wars, one of them comes from this show. And that is Obi-Wan and Maul's actually 2 of them. Obi-Wan and Maul's last meeting, and then, of course, Twilight of the Apprentice.
Yes.
Vader versus Ahsoka. Yes. It's still my favorite episode. As problematic as that episode overall is, that fight, that 5 minutes of screen time, is some of the most perfect television I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, and yet I still prefer Clone Wars and Resistance over it. But that's not to say that I don't love Rebels, because I do. I just spent God knows how long just praising the hell out of it. But Jonathan, do you have any thoughts about Rebels, or?
Said the person, I got some Rebels Season 1 and Season 2 over there. So, yeah. And, yeah. Say thoughts, both of you right here. I really enjoyed Rebels right here. Even though I kind of linked some of the episodes right here, even after they premiered right here, though. Overall, after I caught up right here, I complete you guys right here. I love the Ahsoka Vader fight round here, though. And, yeah, that scene is just really fantastic. It's almost in my top 10 Star Wars moments, any content in general, right here.
Wow.
Yeah. And right here, even the last, I was going to say one Rebels moment, then you didn't bring it, is I'll say Kanan's, I don't know, sort of spoiler heavy, but
Sacrifice. You can just say that.
yeah, sacrifice. That moment right here, though, his sacrifice, it's really breathtaking. Really breathtaking how they do it right here, though. And I love it for that reason, though. So, yeah. Keep it at that.
And by the way, if you have like an hour of free time, go back through the Star Wars YouTube channel's video library and look for the Rebels panel they did at the recent Celebration event. And like you heard me mention that Dave Filoni kind of like tortured his actors behind the scenes to get the full emotional range out of each of them. Go listen to Tia Sircar and Vanessa Marshall talk about them doing the voiceovers for the season finale and how he kept Tia Sircar behind while everyone else went to a rap party. And when Tia got to that rap party after filming that final bit of dialogue for the finale for the last 2 minutes, how it was like she was seeing ghosts in front of her because she was like, I have to keep this secret now for like 7 months. These are my friends. These are my family. And they're going to look at me so differently when this episode airs.
Yeah, but that's that. And now I mentioned that I'd be talking about Katie Sackhoff. And I'm going to be. Because the show that I'm going to be talking about is a little show that is actually a reboot of a show that first premiered in 1978 on CBS. And yes, it was created basically as a response to Star Wars. Big shock. But it comes to us from brilliant writers, brilliant showrunners, and it's called Battlestar Galactica. My God, this was one of the best sci-fi shows ever made. Ever made. And I will hear no arguments to the contrary, with all due respect, because you will never find, in my opinion, a better assortment, wide range of characters across who are all sorts of great archetypes. And a lot of these characters have become great archetypes as a result of what they've done. And I'll start off with Commander Adama, played brilliant by Edward James Olmos. Holy crap. This guy was amazing. But that's, sorry guys, I'm being interrupted very rudely. Give me just 1 second, please. Yes, what?
Okay, how do we stall, Jonathan? How should we stall?
I'm in the middle of a show. Mom.
This is my similar thing happened in my next
Sorry
yesterday.
about that, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies.
Okay, we stalled.
Yes. Thank you. But yes, Battlestar Galactica. Going back to that. Now, the show actually officially started in 2003 with a mini-series, but then it obviously grew into a 4-season show that lasted for about 76 episodes, and was brought to us by one of the big heads at Star Trek, Ronald D. Moore. And like I said, going back to Edward James Olmos as Commander Adama. This is the kind of character that you would want to be leading the last hope for humanity, who would essentially be the person that you want to trust as your leader. And honestly, like, if, let's say we had a president in the future who was like Commander Adama, sign me up. Because his focus was always people first. We have to make sure we stay alive. Or, here, I'll give another great example. His son. and I'm blanking on the actor's name for some effing reason. Boy, this is embarrassing. Jamie Bamber. There we go. Thank you, Wikipedia, for helping me out with that one. I appreciate it. But what I love so much about his character is that he was essentially Poe Dameron, but done right. Now, I like Poe Dameron's arc in Last Jedi. Battlestar Galactica did it better. In fact, Battlestar Galactica is Last Jedi done right. Where you have that constant chase, that constant sense of tension, and all that it is just trying to survive. And it's just done so brilliantly. Especially with some of the most iconic characters who, of course, are actually some of the women. In particular, Tricia Helfer as number 6, a Cylon. Now, one of the first things you'll notice if you ever watch the original 78 show and then the modern day reboot is that in 78, the Cylons were obviously, very, sorry, Nico, cyborg-ish designs, but they were based more like medieval knights. They're not that scary, I promise.
Okay, that actually piqued my interest a little bit because I like medieval knights.
Okay. Just basically picture a medieval knight with a Mandalorian helmet and then just a beam that goes across the eyes. That's all that a Cylon looked like. If that scares you, I'm sorry. But the great thing about the modern day reboot is now the Cylons adapted. And they have the ability to actually look like people. So anybody could wind up being a Cylon, as we discover throughout the show, and I won't spoil who, but again, Tricia Helfer was great. But then leads me to my favorite character from that show, and one of my favorite characters in all of television, which of course is Katie Sackhoff as Starbuck, who is a complete opposite of who Starbuck was in the original show. Now, Starbuck in the original show was, again, almost like a Han Solo, Poe Dameron type. Total hotshot, but he knew what he was getting himself into, and it was a bit of a womanizer. It was late 70s. You could get away with that back then. But Starbuck was a total scrapper. My God. She could throw down with the best of them. Hell, she and Adama's son, Lee, Apollo, if you want to go by his fighter name, they had this great relationship. And sure, sometimes it was a little bit romantic, sometimes it wasn't, but there was always that level of respect between them. And that's what made them so great in that regard. And yeah, Battlestar Galactica, people, go watch it. It's just fucking great. Now, Nico, did you have another show you want to talk about? Or do you want Jonathan to... Actually, you know what? Here, before Jonathan gets to a list for one more go, I'm actually going to go to the chat real quick. And let's see what the folks over here brought up, because I see the cool guy brought up like a shit ton of shows. Jesus Christ.
Actually, could I ask you a question about one thing you mentioned in that breakdown of Battlestar Galactica? You mentioned the president within this show. His motto was "People First." Can you further explain what you mean by that? Because there are two ways I could interpret that.
He's technically not the president. He's just the commander of the fleet. The president was played by Mary McDonnell, and she had a very different approach, which I forgot to mention. So yes, sorry, finish your question.
So when you say people first, are you referring to like the rights of the people first, or are you referring to, and again I'm going the Trump route when I say this, people first as in America first and nobody and everybody else second, like fuck the aliens and
No.
Okay.
Well, first off, there aren't really that many aliens per se in the show. Because it's essentially sort of set up basically where it's humans versus robots. That's essentially what the war is. And again, when I say the people first, literally he's just doing everything to make sure that as many people survive as possible, because there aren't a lot of people left.
Okay.
Like literally, it's one fleet. That's all they have. And that's all of humanity. Because when the show starts, there's like 13 colonies, and basically in one fell swoop, the Cylons blow up all of them. Lovely.
So trying to preserve the population.
Yes. And he has to approach that from more of a militaristic approach. Whereas Mary McDonnell, she goes along with it usually, but she does put her foot down when she feels that he's crossing a line where he's coming across as too militaristic, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yes. Okay. Now, back to the chats.
He put some a lot of good choices, by the way.
Yeah, Cool Guy brought up a lot of good choices.
Oh, definitely.
Let me name some of them real quick. Which he picked some SNL, but he picked the era of Bill Hader and Andy Samberg. So I can't say it. Which I love that era too, though. Not a fan.
No.
Ooh, Glow.
Yeah.
Yes.
He picked Power Rangers, but I don't know what specific one, but the original, I suppose. He picked BoJack Horseman, Arrested Development, Rick and Morty, Archer, The Simpsons.
Rick and Morty's not
Breaking Bad.
Really an ensemble, though.
Per
se.
Well, yeah, sort of, kind of, yeah. All that, 30 Rock, Community, Hey Arnold, Total Drama, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Regular Show, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, King of the Hill, How I Met Your Mother, Big Mouth, South Park, The Goldbergs, and Stranger Things, Fargo, Teen Titans, Blackish, Schoolish.
Good Lord.
Malcolm in the Middle, Everybody Hates Chris, Boy Meets World, Futurama, Different Strokes, The Facts of Life, and he even says Us.
Hey! We talk about ourselves enough. You know what?
Not bad.
I think we could probably get into. And again, I'm not really sure I could say South Park as like an ensemble technically. There's a lot of supporting characters, but it's really just those four boys who are the main stars of the show. Again, Simpsons, it's really just the family, so I won't really count that. So, How I Met Your Mother, I think, falls in the same category.
With South Park, I would disagree with you on that because Randy Marsh has a lot of arcs as well. So it's like even the parents get a lot of stuff to do as well. It's not just focused on those four boys. I mean, Mr. Garrison, Mr. Mackey, PC Principal in later seasons.
You mean what I am, apparently?
No. Wendy Testaberger, there are a lot of, even Tom Cruise, and he gets a couple arcs at some points. So, like, if it's relevant, they'll make fun of you. It doesn't just focus on those four boys.
All right, fair enough. But I would say, actually, probably Stranger Things would be the one that I'm personally the most committed to at the moment, just because I love that show. I'm excited as fuck for season 3. Actually, you went and refresh me, Nico. You have not seen Stranger Things yet?
I have not.
Fair enough.
Do you want me to watch more movies so we can win titles, or do you want me to take a break to watch Stranger Things?
Fair enough. Plus Ryan. Spoiler alert, guys. Ryan and I are going to do a Stranger Things season 3 recap. Anyway, sorry, Jonathan. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, okay, we'll put some interesting we didn't bring up is Sons of Anarchy, Game of Thrones, and True Blood are his.
Yeah, touche.
We have a whole show dedicated to talking about Game of Thrones, so I think we're good on that.
But that show's already over, and although I will say this, for the first 3 seasons, up into a certain little wedding, heyo. Yeah, honestly, you want to talk about tight storytelling? Go watch the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. And I'm only saying that because that's all that I'm caught up to. But, like, the brilliant thing is everyone's arc still gets pushed forward in every single episode, and it's done just perfectly starting off. I suppose we could talk about... we've all seen How I Met Your Mother?
I've seen episodes of it, but I wasn't like a diehard follower of it.
Same thing for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, and unfortunately, most of these shows I haven't seen. I've never seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Sorry, Nico.
And me. And I have seen I've seen all the episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so apologize to me too.
All right, I apologize, Jonathan. Well, then here, you know what? Since I can't really talk about too many of these shows in particular, you got one you want to bring up?
Are you for me or Nico?
You,
Sorry,
Jonathan. You.
Okay.
Because you came better prepared than either of us.
Okay. I got two that have mine. One is a drama, one is another comedy. So that none of you guys on the chat sort of brought this up. So a little conflicted, but you know what? Gonna pick another comedy. I'm gonna pick my personal favorite, Parks and Recreation in a little town called Pawnee, Indiana.
Well, talk about it because I have not seen a single episode.
I got up to season 6, and then for whatever reason, I didn't finish the final season. So I am familiar with the show. I am familiar with the characters. Ron Swanson is God, but there's I didn't get to see how they finished it off.
And the reason I picked that show, then other comedies I was considering to put on the ensemble list. Well, I think the show did it very well, though, that other comedy ensembles did well at start, but later on didn't cross the finish line that people they wanted it to. They kept the characters consistently very tight, though, where other shows that I liked that I was considering to bring it on one point, like Community or even The Office right here, though, they have a very good, consistently good cast right here. When some cast members not coming back in later seasons right here, or some of them they're not bringing involved right here, though, the show sometimes is going to feel a little bit off at points right here. With Parks and Rec, on the other hand, they grow from it right here, though, and it keeps getting better along with it. I love Leslie Knope as a character, real beautifully by Amy Poehler, though, which I will argue the best comedic minds out there, and we don't give her enough credit by doing that, though. So I love the cast so far. I love Nick Offerman. I love Aubrey Plaza. It introduced the world to Chris Pratt right here, though, and I love Adam Scott. Well,
sorta.
Well, fine. If you what, fine. OC Everwood, fine. You might argue that way. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say generally, but
yeah.
And you got like Adam Scott, Rob Lowe, Regina Jones, Azir Azar, and Jim aka Jerry Genny and Gergich right here. So if you don't get the joke for the show, though, then you kind of get it. So I love this cast so much because they played it off so well. And when the show kind of sort of started right here, the first season, though, which
the first season was terrible, and you could make the argument that it doesn't even really. You could eliminate season 1, and you wouldn't miss anything.
Yeah, it's not even set the show right, though. They were trying to sort of like The Office right here, even make Leslie a little, not say dumber, but like not 100% right here. That's not her character at all right here, though. You basically cut that episode right here. It really got burned by a writer's strike at that time, and thank God they didn't cancel it right here. Season 2 really became Parks and Rec for me because the show started it very well right here. They got the characters very on the way here. One of my right. you jerk. You jerk.
You dick.
Such a. Yeah.
I've been holding that in for 30 minutes.
That's what she said.
Oh, God. Why did I say that? for the audio listeners at home, I just picked up my whiteboard and with the words "right here?" ? Were written on it.
All right.
I'm a dick.
And okay, where was I? Okay, and we get to like season 3. That's where Adam Scott and Wobble came into the picture right here. Their characters fleshed out very well, though. They could have been sort of like common copies right here in their own, but they give it so well, though. Let me tell you my favorite moments about the show, though. My favorite moment about the show is when they go to that bar up there, Indiana, and all the members right here get a little drunk right here, weird face it out right here, all the way to Leslie, to Andy, all the way to one with the jiggling dancing right here, though. They made a gif of it right here, though. If you don't know what I mean by that, look it up. It's actually genuinely funny.
Okay, now I'm
and
gonna
the other
crap.
one
It's
is
GIF.
GIF. Damn it. Oh, and let me tell you the other one. The other one is Little Sebastian, the little horse better known as Little Sebastian.
Oh, his jazz playing alter ego.
Yes. And also, when Little Sebastian appears right here, Ron's reaction to it, which, if you watch the entire show, Ron, for the most part right here, is more really stern right here, though. Then when Little Sebastian appears, he giggles like someone else. If we react to someone, it's like, like that. And his reaction to it is brilliant right here. There's so much in the show that I really love right here. I really love the characters right here. It's one of my favorite era around the NBC comedy era, along with this, 30 Rock, The Office, Community, around that time. This is my favorite around that era, though. So this is one of my favorites right here. So that's my pick.
All right. And like I said, I got nothing to say because the show just never looked interesting to me.
So then I guess I'll add to it. Rashida Jones, we get to see her sort of thrive in the mockumentary environment during one of the seasons of The Office, and she just picks up from there, making this transition into Parks and Rec, and she became a staple of the show for the longest time. Now she left the show before season 7, which was the final season, but she was a great character, and the show it's fun watching a lot of these characters grow over the course of 7 years. Leslie Knope, she had political aspirations and she went for them. She didn't let anyone tell her no. And if there was a problem, she was determined to fix it no matter what. Whereas some people would have just given up. And that makes her an admirable character. Now, granted, there is some of her execution of those plans to make things better, they didn't always work out. But hey, it just adds to her character of like, no matter what faults she has, she's still going to try to be the best public servant that she can be. Then you have Ron Swanson, the ultimate male, who he solves his depression by going to a diner and eating every ounce of bacon and eggs within that diner's inventory. And it's the greatest line ever. And he legit does eat all of the bacon and eggs in that diner. It's
which
wonderful.
I love.
It's wonderful. And then you have Rob Lowe's character, whose name I'm forgetting, but when he was introduced, Chris. Like, he's basically the master of longevity. Like, he never gets sick, doesn't get negative at any point in time. But when he does get sick and when he does get angry, it's severe because he's so reserved, and he's got such a hardworking immune system that when the slightest thing gets through his nerves or through that immune system, it affects him greatly. Like, he will look like he's about to die from a cold. He will get so pissed off he will just explode through the roof. And it's cool to watch him grow in his relation to Rashida Jones' character, especially because she picks him. And sorry if this is a spoiler, but you've had plenty of years to watch the show, viewers at home. But
Chris.
But yeah, she picks the character of Chris, played by Rob Lowe, to be her baby daddy, and they get married-ish in that they don't get an engagement ring, but they instead get a locket and just say, "This is a symbol of our very complicated relationship that we have formed over the past couple of years. But we are having this baby together. We are raising this baby together." And then you have Adam Scott's character of Ben. What's his name?
Just call him Ben.
Yeah, Ben. What wasn't he meant to be like a political opposition character to Leslie, and then he ends up being her husband as the show goes on?
Yeah.
Like just the character development that takes place in the show, very underappreciated, very underrated. This show was great, and Aziz Ansari is even in the show. So if you're looking for some fast-talking, smooth comedy, he's the guy to deliver it. Like, he's just trying to be, he's trying to be the smoothest guy in the room, even though
even trying to sell some stuff like, which they don't work at all. which they don't work.
Yeah, but again, that's part of his charm as well. Like, regardless of whether the products he's trying to sell are shit or legit, he's gonna treat them equally because he wants to be the best salesman he can be. He wants to be a rich superstar, and Leslie Knope, she admires his tenacity, and that's why he is so much appreciated in the Parks and Rec department.
Okay.
And you forgot one guy.
Gary.
His name is Jerry. Barry.
They never get his name right. Like, he just kind of sits there in the background and very underappreciated. But
which, by the way, can I tell you a fun fact? I went to an awesome convention earlier this year. He was at the convention, just saw his booth. The actor who plays him.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sorry for just kind of zoning out there for that little bit because, again, it's not really my jam.
Don't worry.
But
don't worry. If you had a chance, get season 1.
This is true.
And watch the rest.
All right. Nico, did you have another one off the top of your head, or do?
Okay, so Cool Guy mentioned. Was it Cool Guy or was it K Wolf? Whichever one said Boy Meets World.
That was Cool Guy.
Well, that was not my choice, but my other choice was the spin-off Girl Meets World. Now, a lot of people
is that really an ensemble though? Because I mean, the story mostly focuses on just Riley and Maya, with occasionally throwing in a little bit of Farkle, a little bit of Corey, a little bit of Topanga, a little bit of Sean, but
little bit. I would say it's an ensemble because you mentioned a lot of the those characters are still part of the main cast, and also like you even feel for some of the side characters, like Ava Morgan-Stern, like her arc where she starts out as that annoying kid who just keeps popping into the house. She's like Kimmy Gibbler, and Topanga just wants her out of the house at all times. And then in season 2, I believe, her parents go through that divorce, and she essentially becomes part of the Matthews family in a way. Like Topanga starts warming up. Topanga starts warming up to her, especially with the marriage without the actual paperwork between her and Augie. And it's fun to watch all these characters grow. And for me personally, I was book smart in high school, but in terms of social skills, I'd say I was a bit of a late bloomer. I didn't get my license until after my first year of college because I could just walk everywhere I could, and then I finally realized, okay, I need a license because I can't get everywhere apparently just on foot. And I was a late player to the dating game as well. So hence why I still have not had like a girlfriend that lasted longer than a month.
You're still single.
Yeah, my longest relationship was a month, and so I don't really have a lot of experience in the dating game. So getting to watch characters like Riley and Maya and Lucas and Farkle go through what they were going through at that age, it kind of brought me back to like, this is still fresh in relation to my own personal life, because there are some experiences I missed out on in high school because I was focused on other things. And they're trying to figure out, what are we? Are you my brother? Are you my boyfriend? Are we sisters? Is this friendship between us rock solid, or are there some cracks in there? And that in my mind, that just represents what real life actually is. Like we have this idea from other TV shows of how certain relationships are. Like, okay, you're my boyfriend, and that's going to be it until we become husband and wife. Or we're sisters, and that's it. But this show, in my mind, it added layers to what a relationship can be, especially when you're at a young age where you're still figuring the world out. Like, the title itself is Girl Meets World, and Riley and Maya, they're trying to figure out what their place in the world is and in relation to the people around them. And you see that as well with Sean. Like he's like, I missed my chance to be happy, and then he meets Maya's mom, and then they get a second chance, and now Maya is like, she's still affected from her birth dad leaving her, and then Sean comes in and she gets hope again. she gets hope again because she has a father figure she can trust now. And I feel like the show went too soon. And granted, it was simply because like they didn't know where else to go with it, at least on Disney Channel, because they couldn't go as mature as they did with Boy Meets World, which I believe was on. I don't think it was
ABC Family, yeah.
It was on ABC Family, where you can get mature.
I
ABC.
thought it's just ABC in general. It's on the TGI Friday slot.
But like, imagine if.
No, you're right.
Imagine if Girl Meets World got like a season 4 on Freeform, where you have the spinoff to Blackish taking place right now, where you have shows like Cloak and Dagger taking place. They could go that mature route that the writers wanted to go, and it just sucks that this show had to wrap up as soon as it did, because I feel like there was still more story to tell.
Yeah,
fair enough. I can't. I guess you're right. All right. I can't really fight you on that when you lay out the argument like that. So well done. Now, Deucey, we got about 5 minutes left. And you know what? I will go to do one more. I'll do one more. But I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you want me to talk about another sci-fi show, or do you want me to talk about a very political show?
What does your heart tell you? Which one do you really want to talk about?
I have an idea. Flip a coin.
I don't have one on me.
I said go with his heart. You say flip a coin and leave it up to chance. Chance!
Chance! Chance! Yes. You know what? Then fuck it. I'll simply say, you know what? I went on a Star Trek rant, so you know what? I'll save my praise for next gen some other time. But and I did talk about the show briefly on the favorite TV shows episode, but I didn't really talk that much about the cast. So let me just run down the cast list here for you real fast. Martin Sheen, John Spencer, Bradley Whitford, Allison Janney, Richard Schiff, Rob Lowe, to name a few others who were, who would stick around for a couple seasons, maybe disappear, like Moira Kelly. And yes, of course, I am talking about The West Wing, Aaron Sorkin's fucking masterpiece, and you can't fight me otherwise. Honestly, it's just one of the best shows ever made. At least the first 4 seasons. Kind of like Game of Thrones. And the reason I say it's so great is because it knew how to balance everybody's arcs. It knew how to, I'm not going to say exploit, but it knew how to distinguish everyone from each other. Because, for example, you take characters like Sam Seaborn, played by Rob Lowe, and Josh Lyman, played by Bradley Whitford, and because they both have similar personalities, you could almost mistake them for each other. But where the difference is in Sorkin's brilliant writing and the brilliant acting on both their parts is that he forces these two characters to constantly butt heads. Or sorry. I meant to say Richard Schiff as Toby Ziegler and Sam Seaborn. Like, both of them, they work together because Toby is the communications director of the White House and Sam is his assistant. And they have to butt heads constantly. Otherwise, their relationship would just be boring. And that's the brilliance of what Sorkin is able to do. He does the same thing with President Bartlett, played by Martin Sheen, and his chief of staff, played by John Spencer, Leo McGarry. And they have to always be fighting. Hell, they get so into it because Bartlett wants to put together a peace conference between the Pakistanis and the Israelis, and Leo quits over it. Because Leo's been putting up with Jed's shit for 5 seasons, and that's where he draws the line. Is like, you can't fix everything, Mr. President. I'm gonna try, damn it. And Allison Janney, holy shit. the fact that she only just 2 years ago won an Oscar for I, Tonya, when she should have won fucking all the Emmys 20 years ago, I think that says a lot about her skills as an actress. And I'll even go so far as to dare say that what I also really love about, well, especially, and again, you want a real life president in America that I want right now. I want a real life Jed Bartlett, a man who knows how to please the conservative Christian base, but while also making sure that we progress as a society.
Yeah.
Which you're not going to get by voting for Bernie. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? Anyway.
Oh, God.
Sorry. You know, and the thing is, and one of the other reasons that I love this show is that anytime that Josh or Sam or even President Bartlett would get a little too wanting to fight the Republicans, they'd always get karma smacking them around saying, no, motherfucker, that's not how you run a country. You run a country by working together. And that's the kind of lessons that, my God, does Congress and the White House need to be reminded of on a daily basis. It's 20 years later and it's still relevant. What does that say when... And literally, it just comes across in the performances. That's the scary part. Sure, the writing has them do all these things. But it's the performances that just remind you of, oh yeah, this needs to be a thing in today's world. Like, I look at the cast, and I wish so hard that they weren't actors playing roles that I have come to know and love. But they're the characters, they're the people that I want to see running the country that I live in, that I love, that I am saddened on a daily basis is going down the direction it's going down. But that's enough of my sad political squabblings there. Because with that, and refresh me, Jonathan, have you seen West Wing? Uh-oh. He's frozen. For the moment.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Well,
You're coming back. Hopefully.
Right at the end of the show, too.
Okay, there you go. You're back. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Have you seen The West Wing, was his question.
No, I haven't. I want to. By describing it right here, though, maybe I'll binge it someday right here if it's open. Okay?
It's on Netflix.
I'll put one of my class. Gotcha. Yeah. And I agree with everything you said, Chris. And I think we kind of need it right now. Today's age right now. We need it right now, right here. I think that's a great thing you brought these two shows up because kind of like both of your characters in The West Wing and Battlestar Galactica shows, like, we could have a better future. We need to think about is the people first. We need that right here, right now, though. So I'll give it a bend someday, and I'll hope we may discuss more of that someday.
Absolutely. And yeah, and Nico, did you have any final points you wanted to make about anything, or?
No, I'm good.
All right. And yeah, it's kind of funny that I did bring those two up because I'll close this out with this, that Jonathan hit the nail exactly on the head. I guess subconsciously I went with the shows that reminded me of the fact that yes, I do think that the human species is a fucking waste of God's time. But that said, we can be better, and we have the ability to be so much more than we allow ourselves to be. But we just have to find the right inspiration for it. And I think in both Battlestar Galactica and The West Wing, that's, to me, is enough to lay the foundation. And you know what? Actually, if you want to learn how to become a better person, you can start by actually watching stuff like Star Wars Rebels. If you want to learn how to have a little bit more of a sense of humor, maybe Parks and Rec is what's going to inspire that for you. Or maybe if you want a good laugh at yourself, kind of, check out 90s era SNL. Or, push comes to shove, maybe give the old BSG a watch and have yourself a good cry over some of the more intense moments. But with that said, guys, thank you for tuning in this week's episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast. This was a lot of fun right here. Sorry, Jonathan. Had to get that one in. But, you know, and obviously, Jonathan, we loved having you on the show, and we'll always have you back when the time is right. And I feel like tonight was the right time to have you back. So, man, plug yourself. Where can the good folks find you online?
If you're gonna find me around anywhere right here, all the social media, you will find me on Twitter at JPay1098. Same thing as my Instagram. And you can check me on yesterday's match of the Full Metal Classic match, which I did something very unexpected. If you don't gonna do that anytime soon, they will go find you where you live, and I'll show you where I live in the van down by the river.
Beautiful. Nico, Suave Rigoli, where can the good folks find you online?
I'm not even going to try to top that. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Rigoli, or just Nico Suave with 4 random meaningless numbers at the end on Discord. Multiplex Entertainment, Zaddy Smith and I have a show every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time called Crisis on Earthplex, where we talk about the geeky news of the week. Right here on Dedicated to Art or at D2A channel on social media. Check out Who Cares Anyway podcast every week. Check out our Schmodown reactions. Check out Downtown Dissection for Ryan McLellan. Yes, I'm getting better at this. Combat Wrestling Network for YouTube. My Twitter handle at Combat Wrestling #2. There's no letter G. Rolling crits on various social media. Thank you, Mike Santucci, for getting the episode edited. I don't know if they're still uploaded or not, but progress. And finally, the Multimedia Trivia Pop Quiz Championship.
Okay. And with that, folks, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Stardust, and Discord at Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow this very channel on Twitter and Instagram at D2A channel. Shuck it, Trebek. And, of course, you guys should go check out our Schmodown reaction, which will be uploaded as soon as we're done here. And, of course, Downtown Dissection, which Ryan will have a famous titties band. Oh, sorry. A famous band by the title of Shatir. God damn it, that's that program itself right there. Shitter instead of Satter. Yeah, Ryan will be having the actually very well-known metal band Satter on Downtown Dissection coming up here in a couple of weeks. And I also want to make a little announcement that in the coming weeks, we're going to have a couple of guests on the show. A couple of guests who might go by the names of either William Bibbiani, Whitney Seibold, critically acclaimed. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward to that. But until then, guys, you know what to do. Take care!
I'll take anal bum covers for $200, Alex.